Picture this, a small, forgotten town, tucked away from the world, where the nights are longer and the shadows deeper. Surrounding it is a fence, old and weathered, its wood splintered and cracked with age. But this is no ordinary fence. When the sun sets and the moon rises, something strange happens. The air grows heavy, and if you listen closely, you might hear it, a faint, almost imperceptible whisper. It crawls through the silence, brushing against your ears like a ghostly breath. The locals call it the Whispering Fence, and they never go near it after dark. They say it's more than just wood and nails. They say it's a barrier, a thin veil between our world and something far more sinister. Tonight, we step into the shadows to uncover the dark, unsettling tales tied to this eerie place. Stories of madness, disappearances, and voices that should never be heard. What lies beyond the fence? What secrets has it been guarding for generations? Stay with us, and together, we'll unravel the mysteries that dwell just beyond the edge of reality. But be warned, once you hear the whispers, you'll never forget them. To understand the whispers, we must first travel back in time, to the roots of the legend itself. The story of the Whispering Fence begins long before the town was even a glimmer on the map. According to the oldest tales passed down by the townsfolk, the fence was built not to keep something out, but to keep something in. The whispers, they say, are the voices of those who once tried to cross it, voices that were trapped on the other side. Some believe the fence was erected by a group of settlers who stumbled upon an ancient, cursed ground. Others claim it was the work of a lone figure, a stranger who arrived one day and disappeared just as quickly, leaving behind only the fence and a warning etched into its wood. The first recorded whispers came over a century ago, when a farmer named Elias Grayson reported hearing his name called softly, late one night. At first, he dismissed it as the wind, but the whispers grew louder, more insistent. They spoke in a language he couldn't understand, yet somehow he felt they were pleading with him. Terrified, Elias fled, but not before carving a single word into his door: beware. From that night on, the whispers became a part of the town's fabric, woven into its history like a dark thread. Strange occurrences followed: livestock vanishing without a trace, crops withering overnight, and children waking with stories of shadowy figures standing just beyond the fence. The townspeople began to piece together a grim truth. The fence was not just a boundary. It was a warning, a fragile barrier holding back something that should never be free. Over time, the whispers evolved, growing more complex, more haunting. Some claimed to hear conversations in languages long forgotten, while others swore the voices sounded like their own, as if the fence was reaching into their minds. No one could explain it, but one thing was clear: the fence was alive in a way no one could fully comprehend. And so, the legend of the Whispering Fence grew, not just as a tale of the supernatural, but as a chilling reminder of the unknown that lurks just beyond the edge of our understanding. What lies on the other side? The answer, perhaps, is something we're not meant to know. But as we delve deeper into these stories, we'll uncover more about the fence's dark origins and the secrets it continues to guard. Now let us turn our attention to the story that marked the beginning of the Whispering Fence's dark legacy, the tale of Elias Grayson, the farmer whose life was forever changed by the voices that called to him from the shadows. It was a quiet night, much like any other, when Elias first heard his name carried on the breeze. At first, he thought it was nothing more than the wind playing tricks, or perhaps the distant murmur of a neighbor. But as the night deepened, so did the whispers. They called to him again and again, growing louder, more urgent, as if demanding his attention. Elias, a man of steady hands and practical mind, tried to dismiss the voices. He told himself it was exhaustion, or the lingering effects of a long day's toil, but the whispers were relentless. They spoke in a language he couldn't understand, yet their tone was unmistakable, pleading, almost desperate. Night after night, they returned, always at the same hour, always with the same urgency. Soon, Elias found himself unable to sleep, haunted by the voices that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. The townsfolk began to notice a change in him. Once a cheerful and hard-working man, Elias grew distant, his eyes hollow with exhaustion. He would mutter to himself, pacing the edges of his property, always keeping the fence in sight. One morning, a neighbor found him standing at the fence, staring into the darkness beyond. When asked what he was doing, Elias simply whispered, "They're waiting for me." The whispers grew louder still, now speaking in his own voice, echoing his thoughts as if they had been plucked from his mind. They taunted him, promising answers to questions he had never dared to ask. Desperate for relief, Elias carved a single word into his door: "Beware." It was his final warning, a message to those who might follow in his footsteps. Then one night, Elias was gone. His home stood empty, the door left ajar, the word "beware" still fresh in the wood. The townspeople searched for him, but no trace of Elias was ever found. Some say he was lured beyond the fence, while others believe he simply vanished into the night, driven mad by the voices that would not let him rest. Elias Grayson's story became the first chapter in the legend of the Whispering Fence, a chilling reminder of the power the fence held over those who came too close. His disappearance left a mark on the town, a fear that lingers to this day, and though the whispers have taken many forms since that fateful night, the echoes of Elias's voice still haunt those who dare to listen too closely. As we move forward, we'll uncover even more stories of those who encountered the fence, and the price they paid for getting too close to the unknown. But for now, let us remember Elias, the farmer who heard the first whisper, and the warning he left behind. The story of Elias Grayson was only the beginning, a grim prologue to the horrors that would follow. But now, we turn our attention to a tale that sent shivers through the hearts of the entire town. A story not of a lone farmer, but of a group of children whose innocent game turned into a nightmare. It was a warm summer evening, the kind where the sky seems to stretch forever, painted in hues of orange and pink. The children, as children often do, sought adventure, their laughter ringing out as they played near the edges of the Whispering Fence. At first, it seemed like any other game. They chased each other through the tall grass, their voices carrying on the breeze. But as the sun dipped below the horizon, something changed. The laughter faded, replaced by an eerie silence. One by one, the children stopped, their playful smiles giving way to confusion. They had heard something, a whisper, faint but unmistakable. It wasn't the wind, nor the rustle of leaves. It was a voice, and it sounded just like their own. At first, they tried to laugh it off, brushing it aside as a trick of their imaginations. But the whispers persisted, growing clearer, more insistent. They called out names, repeating words the children had just spoken, as if the fence itself were mocking them. One child, bolder than the rest, stepped closer to the fence, her curiosity outweighing her fear. The others followed, their earlier unease now replaced by a strange fascination. The whispers grew louder, more personal. They spoke in voices that mirrored the children's own, echoing their thoughts, their secrets, their fears. It was as if the fence had reached into their minds, pulling out fragments of their innermost selves. One child began to cry, while another shouted at the fence, demanding to know who was speaking. But the whispers only grew more intense, their tone shifting from playful to menacing. By the time the parents arrived, drawn by the sound of their children's distress, the group had scattered. Most of the children were found huddled together, trembling and unable to explain what had happened. But one child was missing, a boy named Thomas, who had been the first to approach the fence. The search for him lasted through the night, but no trace of Thomas was ever found. The only clue was a single shoe, lying just beyond the fence, as if he had been pulled into the shadows. In the days that followed, the remaining children were haunted by what they had experienced. They spoke of the voices, of how they had felt the fence calling to them, urging them to come closer. Some refused to leave their homes, while others woke screaming in the night, convinced they could still hear the whispers. The town was shaken to its core, the disappearance of Thomas serving as a grim reminder of the fence's power. The children's game became a cautionary tale, a story told in hushed tones to warn others of the dangers that lurked near the whispering fence. But for those who had been there that night, it was more than just a story. It was a memory that would never fade, a reminder of the voices in the dark and the price of curiosity. As we delve deeper into the mysteries of the whispering fence, we'll uncover more stories of those who dared to get too close and the consequences they faced. But for now, let us remember the children, whose innocent game became a lesson in the dangers that lie just beyond the edge of the unknown. As the town struggled to make sense of the whispers and the missing children, a new figure arrived, drawn by the growing legend of the whispering fence. Dr. Elena Carter, a linguist and researcher with a fascination for the unexplained, had heard whispers of her own, rumors of a fence that spoke in voices no one could explain. Armed with her recording equipment and an unshakable curiosity, she arrived in the town, determined to uncover the truth behind the phenomenon. At first, Dr. Carter approached the fence with the skepticism of a scientist. She dismissed the stories as local superstition, the product of fear and imagination. She set up her equipment near the fence, confident that she would find nothing more than the rustling of wind or the occasional animal cry. But as the sun set and the town grew quiet, the whispers began. At first they were faint, almost imperceptible, but as the night deepened, they grew louder, more distinct. Dr. Carter's initial dismissal gave way to confusion, then to a creeping unease. The whispers were real, and they were unlike anything she had ever encountered. Over the following days, she recorded hours of audio, analyzing every sound in search of patterns or meaning. What she discovered sent chills down her spine. The whispers weren't random noise. They were fragments of language, ancient and unfamiliar. Some of the words seemed to echo known dialects, but others were utterly alien, as if they belonged to a tongue long forgotten by the world. Dr. Carter became obsessed, spending every waking moment deciphering the whispers, convinced that they held the key to understanding the fence's true nature. But as she delved deeper, something began to change. The whispers no longer felt like mere recordings. They felt personal. They began to call her name, to echo her thoughts, to respond to her questions. At night she dreamt of the fence, of shadowy figures beckoning her closer, of voices speaking in that same ancient tongue. Her once rational mind began to unravel, consumed by paranoia. She became convinced that the whispers were not just a phenomenon to be studied, they were a warning, a message from something far older and more sinister than she could comprehend. In her final days in the town, Dr. Carter's notes became disjointed, filled with frantic scribbles and cryptic phrases. She spoke of a gateway, of a language that should never have been spoken. Her colleagues grew concerned, but by then it was too late. One morning, she was found near the fence, her equipment destroyed and her recordings erased. She was incoherent, muttering in a mix of English and that same ancient language. When asked what she had discovered, she could only whisper one word: run. Dr. Carter's investigation left more questions than answers, but one thing was clear: the whispering fence was no ordinary phenomenon. It was a force that defied explanation, a barrier between worlds that should never have been crossed. And as we continue our journey into the mysteries of the fence, we'll uncover even more chilling tales of those who dared to seek the truth and paid the price for their curiosity. As the whispers continue to haunt the town, one family's story stands as a chilling reminder of the fence's malevolent power. The Millers, a seemingly ordinary family of 4, lived in a small, isolated house just a stone's throw from the whispering fence. At first, they dismissed the stories as local folklore, believing themselves immune to the superstitions that gripped their neighbors. But soon, they would learn that the fence's reach extended far beyond its rusty, weathered posts. It began subtly. The youngest daughter, Emily, was the first to hear them. She described soft voices calling her name from the direction of the fence, voices that sounded eerily like her own. Her parents brushed it off as a child's overactive imagination, but soon the whispers found their way into the house. At night, the family would hear faint murmurs creeping through the walls, growing louder and more insistent as the days passed. The voices seemed to follow them, echoing their thoughts, repeating their words, until it became impossible to distinguish what was real and what was imagined. As the whispers grew stronger, so did the tension in the Miller household. The parents, once calm and loving, began to argue endlessly, their voices rising to match the eerie cadence of the whispers. The children grew withdrawn, their eyes hollow and haunted. The family, once united, was slowly unraveling. Neighbors reported hearing screams from the house at odd hours, and strange lights flickering in the windows late at night. But no one dared to intervene, fearing the fence's curse might spread. The final days of the Millers were marked by a descent into madness. The father, driven by paranoia, began to accuse his wife of conspiring with the whispers, convinced she was somehow communicating with the fence. The mother, in turn, lashed out at the children, accusing them of bringing the curse into their home. The house became a prison, its walls covered in frantic scribbles and strange symbols that none of them could explain. The symbols seemed to pulse with a life of their own, glowing faintly in the dark, as if etched by an unseen hand. When authorities finally entered the house, they found it in disarray. Furniture was overturned, dishes shattered, and the walls were covered in those same eerie symbols. The family was gone, with no trace of where they might have gone. The only clue was a single phrase scrawled in red across the living room wall: "They are listening." To this day, no one knows what became of the Millers, but their story serves as a grim warning to anyone who dares to live too close to the whispering fence. As we delve deeper into the mysteries of the fence, the toll it takes on those who come too close becomes impossible to ignore. And yet, the fence's secrets remain hidden, waiting for the next brave, or foolish soul to uncover them. But as we'll soon see, even the most prepared are not immune to its dark allure. As the shadows of the Miller family's tragedy lingered over the town, another chapter of horror was about to unfold. One fateful night, a storm unlike any other descended upon the quiet streets, its fury matched only by the sinister whispers that seemed to rise with the wind. The storm began with a deafening crack of thunder, shaking the ground and sending sheets of rain crashing against the rooftops. But it wasn't the storm itself that terrified the townsfolk, it was what came with it. As the tempest raged, the whispers grew louder, more insistent, as if the fence itself had awakened. People reported hearing the same phrase over and over, echoing through the storm's chaos. It was a single, chilling sentence. The gate is open. The words seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once, carried on the wind, whispered through the cracks in doors, and even heard in the dreams of those who dared to sleep. Panic spread like wildfire. Families huddled together, their homes no longer a refuge from the unseen terror outside. Some claimed to see shadowy figures moving through the rain, their forms flickering in the lightning flashes. Others swore they heard the whispers calling their names, urging them to come closer, to step outside into the storm. The chaos reached its peak when the first death was reported. A young man, driven to desperation by the relentless voices, ran into the storm, screaming that he had to find the gate. His body was discovered the next morning, drenched and lifeless, just feet from the fence. Soon more deaths followed. A mother and her 2 children were found in their home, their faces frozen in expressions of pure terror. An elderly couple, lifelong residents of the town, were discovered in their backyard, clutching each other as if trying to shield one another from something unseen. The storm eventually passed, but the whispers did not. In its aftermath, the town was left shattered, its people broken by the collective haunting they had endured. The phrase, "The gate is open," was etched into walls, scrawled on scraps of paper, and whispered in the dark corners of empty rooms. To this day, no one knows what the gate is or where it might lead, but those who survived that night swear the whispers are still out there, waiting for the next storm to rise. As we turn our attention to the fence's next tale, the mystery only deepens, drawing us further into the darkness that surrounds this cursed barrier. What lies beyond the gate, and what happens when it opens? The answers, it seems, are as elusive as the whispers themselves. As the town struggled to recover from the horrors of the storm, another unsettling event would soon add to the growing legend of the Whispering Fence. This time, the victims were not locals, but a group of travelers who had unknowingly set up camp just a stone's throw from the cursed barrier. The travelers, a group of 5 friends on a cross-country road trip, had stopped near the town to rest for the night. Unfamiliar with the area, they chose a secluded spot near the fence, drawn by its eerie beauty in the moonlight. What began as a quiet evening under the stars quickly took a dark turn. The next morning, their campsite was found abandoned. Tents were still pitched, their belongings scattered, but there was no sign of the travelers. A search party was organized, but no trace of the group was ever discovered. What they did find, however, were clues that sent chills down the spines of even the most hardened searchers. Among the items left behind was a small digital recorder. When played, it revealed hours of faint, indecipherable whispers, growing louder and more frantic as the recording went on. The voices seemed to echo the phrase, "the other side," over and over, though the words were distorted, as if spoken through static. Even more disturbing was a journal found near one of the tents. Its pages were filled with frantic scribbles, some in English, others in a language no one could recognize. The entries spoke of shadows moving beyond the fence, of voices calling out names, and of a growing compulsion to cross over. The final entry, written in shaky handwriting, simply read, "The gate is open. We have to go." The disappearance of the travelers remains one of the most baffling chapters in the history of the Whispering Fence. Were they lured away by the whispers? Did they find the gate that so many have feared? Or did they simply fall victim to the same unseen force that has claimed so many others? As the town wrestles with these questions, the fence continues to stand, its secrets still hidden, its whispers still calling. And as we move closer to uncovering the truth, we are reminded that some mysteries are better left unsolved, for the answers may lie beyond the edge of reason itself. As the whispers of the fence continue to haunt the town, another layer of mystery emerges, one that has been whispered about in hushed tones for generations. Beyond the eerie voices and the unexplained disappearances, there is said to be a figure that watches over the fence, a shadowy presence that only appears to those who dare to venture too close. This entity, often referred to as the Guardian, is described as a tall, indistinct figure, its features obscured by an unnatural darkness. Those who have encountered it speak of an overwhelming sense of dread, as if the very air around it grows heavy with unease. What makes the Guardian truly unsettling, however, is its silence. It never speaks, never moves, yet its mere presence is enough to send even the bravest souls fleeing in terror. One of the most chilling accounts comes from a hunter who claimed to have seen the Guardian while tracking a deer near the fence. He described how the figure materialized out of thin air, standing motionless just a few feet away. The hunter froze, unable to move or look away, as the figure seemed to stare directly at him. He later recounted how the whispers from the fence grew louder and more urgent, as if the Guardian itself was summoning them. When the figure finally vanished, the hunter fled, vowing never to return to that part of the woods. Another encounter involved a young couple who, despite warnings, decided to explore the area near the fence at dusk. As they walked, they noticed a shadowy form following them at a distance. At first, they dismissed it as a trick of the fading light, but as they drew closer to the fence, the figure became more distinct. The couple described how the whispers seemed to intensify, forming a cacophony of voices that surrounded them. Terrified, they ran back to their car, but not before one of them glanced back and saw the Guardian standing at the edge of the fence, its head tilted as if observing them. The connection between the Guardian and the whispers has long been a subject of speculation. Some believe the figure is a protector, ensuring that no one crosses the fence and discovers what lies beyond. Others think it is a harbinger of doom, a manifestation of the same force that drives the whispers and claims those who come too close. Could the Guardian be the source of the whispers, or is it merely another piece of the puzzle, bound to the fence by forces beyond our understanding? As the legend of the Guardian grows, so does the fear surrounding the whispering fence. Those who have seen it speak of an unshakable feeling that they were being warned, or perhaps judged. But whether the Guardian is friend or foe, one thing is certain. Its presence serves as a chilling reminder that some boundaries were never meant to be crossed. And as the stories of the Guardian intertwine with the whispers, the fence continues to stand, its secrets guarded by shadows and silence. But for those who listen closely, the question remains, who or what is truly watching over the edge of the unknown. As the years pass, the legend of the whispering fence has not faded into obscurity. Instead, it has only grown more entrenched in the fabric of the town, its mysteries persisting into the modern day. Even now, reports of strange occurrences near the fence continue to surface, leaving both locals and outsiders alike questioning what truly lies beyond its weathered posts. In recent years, whispers of an unusual nature have been documented by those who live nearby. One resident, a retired schoolteacher, described hearing faint voices late at night, their words indistinct but undeniably present. She claimed the sounds seemed to come from the fence itself, as if the wood itself was alive, murmuring secrets to the darkness. Another local, a mechanic who works just a mile from the fence, reported hearing his name whispered one evening as he locked up his shop. When he turned to look, no one was there, only the faint outline of the fence silhouetted against the moonlight. But it's not just the whispers that keep the town on edge. Strange lights have also been spotted near the fence, flickering in the distance like will-o'-the wisps. A group of teenagers camping nearby claimed to see a series of glowing orbs floating above the fence, moving in patterns that defied explanation. When they tried to approach, the lights vanished, leaving only an eerie stillness in their wake. These sightings have fueled speculation about whether the fence is more than just a barrier. Perhaps it's a conduit for something far beyond human comprehension. The fence has also become a focal point for those who dare to investigate the unknown. One amateur paranormal researcher set up recording equipment near the fence for a week, hoping to capture evidence of the whispers. What he found was both chilling and perplexing. The recordings contained faint, unintelligible murmurs, but also something else, a low, rhythmic hum that seemed to pulse through the ground. When he played the recordings for a group of locals, many refused to listen, claiming the sounds brought back memories they'd rather forget. For some, the fence is a place to be avoided at all costs. One lifelong resident, a woman in her 70s, refuses to even drive past it. "I've lived here my whole life," she said, "and I've seen enough to know that some things are better left alone." The fence, it's not just wood and nails. It's something else, something alive. Others, however, are drawn to its mystery, unable to resist the pull of the unknown. A young man who moved to the town just a few years ago admitted to visiting the fence several times, though he always leaves with a sense of unease. "I don't know what it is," he confessed, "but every time I get close, I feel like I'm being watched. Not by a person, but by something." The fence's influence extends beyond the physical. Some locals claim that even thinking about it too much can bring on strange dreams or feelings of dread. One woman described waking up in the middle of the night, convinced she had heard the whispers in her own home. When she checked the windows, she saw nothing but the empty fields stretching toward the fence, bathed in the pale glow of the moon. As the stories pile up, the fence remains a source of both fear and fascination. For those who live nearby, it's a constant reminder that the past is never truly buried and that some mysteries are better left unsolved. Yet for others, the fence represents a challenge, a puzzle waiting to be unraveled. Whatever the truth may be, one thing is certain. The whispering fence continues to hold the town in its grip, its secrets as elusive as ever. And as the whispers persist, so does the question that has haunted the town for generations. What lies beyond the edge of the unknown? The answer, it seems, is still just out of reach, hidden behind the weathered planks of the fence and the shadows that cling to it like a shroud. As the whispers continue to echo through the town, one question lingers above all others. What exactly is the whispering fence hiding? Theories abound, each more intriguing and unsettling than the last. Some believe the fence is not just a barrier, but a gateway, a portal to another dimension where the rules of our world no longer apply. This theory gained traction after a group of researchers studying the fence claimed to have detected strange energy fluctuations near its posts. One physicist suggested the fence could be a thin spot between realities, where the veil separating our world from another is unnervingly fragile. Others argue that the fence is the result of an ancient curse, a punishment laid upon the land for sins long forgotten. Local historians have uncovered fragments of old texts that speak of a ritual gone wrong, performed centuries ago by settlers who sought to harness forces they did not fully understand. According to these accounts, the fence was erected not to keep people out, but to contain something within, a malevolent force that refuses to be silenced. Then there are those who believe the fence is the work of a malevolent entity, a being that thrives on fear and chaos. Paranormal investigators have suggested that the whispers are not random, but deliberate, a form of psychological manipulation designed to drive people mad. One expert in supernatural phenomena pointed to the similarities between the whispering fence and other cursed locations around the world, where inexplicable voices and eerie occurrences have been documented for centuries. Adding to the mystery are the strange symbols occasionally found carved into the fence's weathered wood. Linguists and cryptographers have attempted to decipher these markings, but their meaning remains elusive. Some speculate that the symbols are part of a forgotten language, one that holds the key to understanding the fence's true purpose. Others believe they are warnings, etched by those who came before in a desperate attempt to protect future generations. Historical records offer little clarity, but they do provide glimpses into the fence's long and troubled history. In one account from the late 1800s, a traveling preacher described the fence as an abomination, a place where the natural and the unnatural collide. He claimed to have heard the whispers himself, describing them as a chorus of lost souls pleading for release. Despite the many theories, one thing is clear: the whispering fence defies easy explanation. It is a place where science and superstition intersect, where the known and the unknown blur into one. And as long as the whispers persist, so too will the questions, the speculations, and the unshakable feeling that the fence is hiding something far beyond our understanding. The fence remains a riddle, its secrets locked away behind layers of myth, fear, and fascination. Whether it's a portal, a curse, or something else entirely, one thing is certain: the whispering fence is a reminder that some mysteries are not meant to be solved. And as the whispers grow louder, the truth, whatever it may be, feels closer than ever, yet still just out of reach. With so many possibilities to consider, the fence continues to challenge our understanding of the world, leaving us to wonder what truly lies beyond its weathered planks. And as the theories multiply, so does the sense of unease, a quiet but persistent reminder that the edge of the unknown is far closer than we might like to believe. As we draw the curtain on the haunting tales of the whispering fence, one truth remains undeniable: this eerie boundary between the known and the unknown has left an indelible mark on those who dare to venture near it. From the chilling whispers that echo through the night to the strange symbols etched into its weathered wood, the fence continues to defy explanation. It stands as a testament to the mysteries that lie just beyond the edge of our understanding, a reminder that some secrets are never meant to be unraveled. The stories we've explored, from the farmer's descent into madness to the researcher's discovery of an ancient language, paint a picture of a place where reality bends and fractures. Whether it's a portal to another world, the work of a malevolent force, or the remnants of a curse long forgotten, the fence holds a power that transcends logic and reason. It is a place where fear takes root, where the line between myth and truth blurs into obscurity, and yet, for all the theories and speculations, the fence's true nature remains shrouded in mystery. Its whispers persist, a constant reminder that the unknown is always closer than we think. What lies beyond those weathered planks? What secrets are hidden in the shadows, waiting to be uncovered? These questions linger, haunting not just the town, but all who hear its tale. As the whispers grow louder, the fence challenges us to confront the limits of our understanding. It asks us to consider the possibility that there are forces in this world, and perhaps beyond it, that we may never fully comprehend. And as we stand at the edge of the unknown, we are left with a choice: to turn away or to listen closely to the voices that call from the darkness. What do you think the whispering fence is hiding? Have you ever encountered something that defied explanation? Share your thoughts, theories, or experiences in the comments below. And if you found this journey into the unknown as chilling as we did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more tales from the edge of the mysterious. The whispers are calling. Will you answer?